Hello my friends. So we are going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of video today where I'm going to be channeling stuff, I guess, for this Aries new moon that we're having. But I think this message is definitely going to extend past this time frame and is just kind of a relevant message in general, but it's kind of where I'm coming from and where it's cultivated from. So we are going to dive into that. If you don't know me already, my name is Paige though, and yeah, welcome to my channel where I just like to share things just like this. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe, thumbs up this video, share it with your friends if you feel it resonates. Let's dive in. So I wanted to kind of talk on the concept of the individual versus other people, essentially. We have this Libra Aries axis that has been highlighted by the past full moon in Libra and new moon in Aries, like I just said we had the other day on the 12th, I believe, of April. So yeah, given all this energy, there's just a lot of you versus me that has been on a lot of people's mind. And honestly, you know, given the Aries nature, as I said in my last video explaining Aries energy, it's very I am. This is what I'm doing because I choose to do it. The thing about this energy that's really interesting to me is it's all about sizing yourself up and realizing that sometimes you're the determining factor of what size you take on in whatever role you take on in your life. It's very much up to you, up to everybody really, where we come from in every moment and where we stand. And I've actually been talking about this a lot on my Instagram lately, just the whole concept of looking at the role you're taking on. And a lot of what that role, where that role comes from, I should say, has to do with how you size yourself up. And you know, in astrology, this has a lot to do with your sixth house. I say that so weird, the sixth house. Geez, whatever. I don't know what's wrong with my voice sometimes. Anyways, I just have noticed that this energy, you know, it's about sizing yourself up with the world around you. It's already past your expression and how you've really felt about things, how you've perceived things and given them value. And it just boils down to being able to see where you fit in with things and truly what level you are at compared to other people, which that was kind of the whole premise of this. Because a lot of the times on my channel, I talk about comparison in a really positive light. Essentially just being able to see yourself within them, you know, see the similarities, even if it's, you know, a darker quality that you're seeing within a person, see how that relates to you, because that can significantly help you in your inner world. You know, that shadow work, that's really taking responsibility for the things that life throws at you. But on the contrary of all of that, once you've done a lot of shadow work, I find that you're going to find yourself in situations where you stop aligning with things and with people, with situations, with straight up just energy. You know, going back to what the law of attraction says about like attracting like, sometimes your like changes, and what happens during that weird influx period is, you know, discourse. It's a lot of unease from your personal energy when you're interacting with certain things. And that's what I've recognized with that docile Libra energy when it's opposing that more fiery, hot-headed, I want what I want type Aries energy. You know, it's asking for a lot more from each of us, and it's, you know, asking us to stand in our power regardless of how uneasy that may make us and others feel. I just find that there's a lot of empowerment to find within separating yourself from the herd and from the group, and sometimes from people that you've associated with for X amount of time. Because essentially, if their values aren't in alignment with the way that you see yourself moving forward, that's okay to remove yourself from that energy, because sometimes that constant collision can just be enough to get in your way. And that's knowing that it's okay for you to not agree with certain things. And it doesn't necessarily mean malice. It doesn't mean that you know, are automatically enemies with a certain person or with a certain energy or with a certain circumstance. And that goes back to what I've always said about not writing things off as good or bad, right or wrong. You know, you just have to understand what resonates for you and what doesn't. And the adaptability of it all, you know, sometimes you're going to resonate with something for later to not. You know, that's something that I've actually had to learn a lot about on this YouTube channel and about my own presentation of self, is that I might present myself one way to one person one day, and the next moment it can be completely different and completely change because my values might change. I might recognize something different. I might learn something different. It's not even a might. I do learn things different all the time, every day. And you know, that's a personality trait I've noticed, because not every person's like that, but at the same time, I'm like that, and that's okay. I've known a lot of people to assign me to be certain roles and then be upset when I'm not in that role, but it's like, that's your problem to assign me to that certain role, and my fault also for ever thinking that I had to be that person to begin with. It's all about, like I said, zooming out and seeing what role you're taking on and how you're comparing yourself in that role, because a lot of the time we don't recognize that greater vision that we take on, that greater energy that we're taking on behind the scenes that's fueling that original action. You know, that's 12th house energy. It's that behind the scenes in your back pocket sort of thing that gets you inspired to take that leap of faith into that first house or into that Aries energy. So a lot of the time for me, you know, these jumps are actually from sizing myself up to other people, but not in any, like I said, malicious way, not in any way where it's like, oh, this is me versus you, but it's like, this is where I'm coming from, this is where you're coming from. Even though if those are two completely different places, like the differing opinions aren't so much the issue when you're at this place as it is just recognizing what's actually aiding your progression and what's keeping you in the same loop. And that's where your discrimination comes in. That's where it becomes knowing what you deserve and what is on your path versus what's not. And like I said, that comes from looking within yourself and seeing the different sides of yourself and really weighing it out, you know, more in that Libra energy when you bring it back to self. But that outer expression of Libra energy is like that self-image and focusing on who you are compared to other people, like I said, and maybe how you come off to other people. But at the end of the day, none of that is gonna matter if you're associated with the wrong people or with the wrong environment or with the wrong energy, essentially. Libra energy is really good at picking up the aesthetic of something, you know, the overall energy and how something works together and flows together, like the feng shui, essentially. And Aries is kind of the deciding factor of like, okay, this isn't working, so I'm gonna have to move it around. That feng shui of an energy, if we're using that metaphor. I don't like how these pictures are lining up, so I need to be the one to move them so it feels better. And sometimes you need to be the one to move yourself so you align better with your environment and with the world. And noticing where you're not doing that is kind of your responsibility. It's not the world around you's responsibility to level up with you. And that's fine because they're not coming from that place. And once again, that Aries Libra opposition is you can stand at completely opposite poles and still, you know, find balance in that, or just choose to find balance in agreeing to disagree, essentially, and to live separate lives or to live separate from this other version of you, you know. And that also comes back to that Libra Aries axis of making a decision. Libra energy is on the fence. It's weighing out its options. A lot of its actions are to balance out another action that they've been given, but there just comes a point where you need to break away and essentially decide who you're gonna be, because, you know, Libra is gonna be who they need to be for whatever situation it calls for. I always talk about how Libra is looking to feed their ego through feeding other people's ego. You know, it's a very covert route of finding a way to relate to the world. But at the same time, you know, this energy of Aries has to decide what it wants to begin with. You know, it has that innate desire that it's like, this is solely what I want to go after, and it's just because I want to. That's plain and simple Aries just do it mentality, as I say. And that's so much the energy of right now. You know, a lot of people have a hard time stepping into new roles, but it's really just doing it. You know, I use this as an example all the time for this kind of situation, but for example, nobody told me I could be a YouTuber. Nobody could told me I could be an astrologer, a psychic, you know. This isn't anything somebody really told me. I mean, people, you know, might have saw it in me and gave me recommendations and have been like, oh, maybe this would be good for you, but nobody was like, here, you're a professional now at doing this certain thing. No, like it was me all along that made that decision to basically cut ties with another part of myself that was a little hesitant, that was maybe more of an amateur at certain things, and say, no, I'm a professional. This is what I do. And this is what I do. You know, that decision has been made, as you can tell, and it's my life. It's my reality now. And it's because that choice was made. And there's no going back on things like that now. There's no wishy-washy side of this Libra energy anymore because I've already chosen my path. I'm in that Aries thing and I'm just, you know, working with it now. And that's the bright side of things. And that's also, like I said, about when you're sizing yourself up with things, you know, you have to keep in mind that wholesome mentality of you're not better than anybody else. You know, this has nothing to do with the innate self-worth of a human being or about your sexual preference or about your race or ethnicity or what you eat in a day or how you choose to wear. Like, no, none of that has anything to do with it. And more so about finding your herd, finding the people that resonate with you and the situations and energies in general that resonate with you, and then just asserting yourself in those groups, in those situations, in those energies, because you can. That's your fucking right as a human to live this experience not only as passionately and as authentically as you want to, but coming from the place that you want to too. And like, if people don't align with that, so be it. They just don't resonate with you. But guess what? There's 8 billion people in this world that could, you know, I think about this all the time. Sometimes in my Instagram account, I'll think of something and I'm like, okay, maybe this post isn't going to resonate with a ton of people. But then I'm like, bitch, there's literally 8 billion people out there in this world. Like, can you imagine how many of them have their Saturn in Pisces, you know? Like, that will apply to a lot of people. And it's only my own perception that keeps me limited from, you know, finding those people. And that is what this energy is about. And that's what we all need to learn to tap into and experience and just appreciate how many opportunities are out there. If we just grab the bar and pull ourselves up to it, essentially, if we size ourselves up appropriately, it's not anybody else's job, like I said, to tell us where we fit in or where we go. That is a personal resonance thing that you are supposed to tap into in this lifetime. You're meant to feel empowered by your own decisions too. That's another thing, you know, that Libra Aries axis that I keep tapping into right now. So that's kind of the gist of this message that I wanted to share real quickly with you guys. But I hope everybody can just feel the fire of this Aries new moon and let it just keep burning within you. Keep deciding for yourself what it is you want shamelessly, because it is okay for you to want it and for you to learn as it unravels. And just yeah, just yeah, that's it. After all that, just yeah. So I hope you guys like this message though. And if you want more like full moon, new moon updates like this from me, I'm actually kind of down to do it. It feels like almost the right thing to do. As always though, if you guys want more from me, check out my other social medias linked down below. If you're interested in personal readings, I offer those on my Instagram, so check that out and hang out with me on Patreon because that's where more of the party is. So yeah, I'm gonna skedaddle and I will see you guys in a later video. Bye!